So, this is my story. Like I was saying, it would make sense if mine was triggered when I had my first period. Because I had my first period when I was 9, 8 or 9. I actually think I had just turned 9, so practically 8. Yeah, I had my first period very, very young, and I mean, honestly, I don't remember much. I don't remember being 6 and 5, and I don't remember being that young. As a kid, like 9 or 10. As a kid, you're 9 or 10 years old, and you realize that you have these random, like, growths swelling under your arms or, like, under your boobs. First of all, for a 9-year-old, I had pretty big boobs, y'all. My boobs developed very early. So yeah, as a 9-year-old, I had pretty big boobs. So I would get some under my breast and under my arms, but they started small, right? And so I would get like a little swelling or whatever, and it would hurt, but I wouldn't really think anything of it, and I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't know what it was. And so I just thought it was like, a form of body acne, but it hurt. And sometimes they would swell and just go down, and sometimes they would swell and they would bust, but I'm talking like, these were small though. These were like bean size, pea size. And so it would swell and it would bust, but then it would go away and all would be well. And I would just use like paper towels and stuff. I didn't tell anybody. Like, so I'm changing clothes or something, and I think my mom came in, and she saw it. She was just like, Heav'n, what's under your arms? And I'm just like, oh, I got this, random little bump or something. And she's like, I don't know, Heav'n. It doesn't seem right. What I'm about to tell you is why people don't talk about it. So I remember going to the doctor, the pediatrician at the time, obviously, and our pediatrician, he had seen cases of it before. Now this is a man with a whole medical degree, right? He had seen cases of it before, but they didn't know much about it. What they did know was that there wasn't really a cure for it. That's all they knew, really, was that there wasn't a cure. And the doctor basically told me and my mom that I was dirty. The doctor just basically was like, yeah, you're not cleaning. And I've always been a big kid, right? I've always been the fat kid. So, so the doctor basically is like, well, she needs to lose some weight and start cleaning herself better. So, what do? I get scolded for being a dirty ass kid. Oh, I said I wasn't gonna cry. So, I'm being scolded, right? Because I'm a dirty ass kid. And the doctor recommends that we use like antibacterial soap and stuff, which I still use to this day. Doctor says that, don't use any other soaps with any other chemicals. Use antibacterial soap to kill all of that dirt that you've built up on your body because you're such a filthy little kid, right? And so, I take that to heart. I'm like, dang, I'm dirty. That's it. I'm just fat and dirty. That's basically what my doctor told me. You're fat and you're dirty and you did this to yourself and there's nothing you can do about it. So, stop. Okay. So, we start using antibacterial soap, and because that was what the doctor told me, when it started to happen again, which it never stopped. It never even stopped. I couldn't even say like, yeah, the antibacterial soap worked. Nothing ever happened from doing that. But because that was the case, I was fat and I was dirty and I needed to use this special soap. Anytime, I would have a flare up, I didn't say anything. I never said anything. As far as my mother knew, all was well. I was using that soap and all was good. That's as far as she knew. When I tell you, you don't know secret keeping until you have had to cover up a whole medical disease. For the sake of not being scolded and, looked at like you're just some filthy. So yeah. So that's one point in my life. That's early on when it first happened. And I've been using antibacterial soap forever. I mean, I'm talking like for years and years and years and years and years. And I'm gonna do a video on like the products I use and stuff to like maintain my skin, but that's a different story. So back to the story. So then some time goes by and I grow up a little, and I'm still keeping this to myself, right? I'm not letting anyone know. I'm in pain all the time. With open sores on my body from when they swell and they burst and my skin's torn and they form scars and stuff, and ruined my self-esteem. And I developed this need to always be covered up. I didn't want my underarms showing. I didn't want anything of me showing where there could be some kind of flare up. The seventh, no, like the 7th or 8th grade, I don't remember. But I was at my grandma's house. Now, I had never talked to my grandma about this. And I don't have any band-aids because I'm a kid. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I can't just up and go to the store and get band-aids. But if I have to ask someone to buy me band-aids, I have to explain why I need them. So I didn't. I'm just trying to convince her that it's okay. Like let's not talk about it,
Get yourself together. Okay. I cannot believe I'm just like doing like this. I've never talked about this.
So my grandma, she tries to put alcohol on it. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. That didn't go well. That did not go well. Don't put alcohol on open sores. It may work as a cleanser, but there are less painful cleansers. Don't do that. But she meant well. It wasn't like a bad thing. She meant well. And that's the problem with this, is that everyone wants to help. But like, I don't want help. I don't want your help. And my mom's like, I didn't know it was still happening. I thought the soap was working, so the soap's not working. I'm like, no, the soap never worked. And so we go back to the doctor, right? We're going to the doctor. We're expecting to find out what's wrong and then fix it. This new doctor, after this incident, basically tells us that I'm fat and that I need to lose weight and that I'm dirty, but it's not the same type of dirty. Instead of it being a bacterial problem, this doctor is saying that it's a fungal problem. This doctor says that I have like a fungus issue. Almost like ringworm or like athlete's foot. He said it's the same type of fungus that causes athlete's foot, but because I'm so fat and dirty, I have it all over my body. I have it in every place. Like, I might as well just start sprouting mushrooms from under my arms. Like, that's what this doctor told us, right? But at the time, there was nothing else better. So the doctor tells us that I'm fat and I have fungus growing in my body, and that's why my body's, rejecting it and doing all of this stuff. And so I need to start using all of these antifungal things. So he had me using athlete's foot powder under my arms and like in my groin. At this point, I'm getting older, and so I'm starting to develop in more places, and so I'm starting to get them like in my groin area. Now, not like on my actual vagina. I don't get them there. It's the creases next to them. But we're not going to talk about that. That's terrible. We're not going to address this is already too much. We're not going to talk about my vagina on the internet. So but I'm starting to develop them, right? So he's like, use this powder and this should help, right? This should help counteract the fungus that's growing in your body for, whatever, and not eat so much yeast and do whatever. So we stop. So all this fungus stops developing. And let's not forget, there's no cure. He didn't forget to mention that. There's no cure for this, but it's a fungus problem. So the first doctor, there's no cure, but it's bacteria. This one, there's no cure, but it's a fungus. So now I'm back at it. Now I'm back to feeling like some dirty, disgusting, obese piece of I'm just a hunk of lard. This disgusting, like, a hunk of lard that just I was like, okay. And so I developed this really intense kind of like hygienic paranoia where like I had to be clean all the time. I still kind of have it. Like, it's bad. Like, I'm literally traumatized from being treated like just some filthy heathen. I'm literally traumatized because doctors have told me all my life that I had bacteria and fungus and stuff growing all over me because I was so dirty. Like, oh yeah, I have problems with germs now because of that. I'm so paranoid about germs. But anyway, I'm using these antifungal creams and powders, and then on top of that I'm using regular baby powder because the doctor also said that, because it's a fungus that's growing, you need to keep it dry because fungus grows in dark, moist areas. And he also said that I should wear more clothes that have my body parts out where I have like flare-ups, so that they can get air and exposure and stuff. Basically, this doctor told me, hey, you have fungus growing all over yourself. Show the world. Go outside and let it all hang out because that's the only way that you can get rid of it, to dry it out. When I got into like middle school and high school, it got really bad. I dreaded any kind of activity where I had to change with other people. I hated gym class. I intentionally tried to find other things to do to skip gym class. I remember being in gym class once, and I got bigger actually. And so I started to get like folds on my back, like back boobs. You know what back boobs are. Don't act like you don't know what back boobs are. So I had some back boobs. We were in gym. Our gym shirts were white. And I remember we were running or something. And somebody's just like, Heav'n, there's something on your shirt. And I'm like, what? And so I feel back there and the whole back of my shirt is like wet. And I don't know what's going on, right? I mean, I know what's going on, but you know what I mean? I didn't know that this was happening. So I asked to be excused. I go to the locker room, and like the whole back of my white gym shirt is yellow and red from all the pus and the blood that just came out of, I guess, what was a lesion that was on my back. And some of them you feel and some of them you don't, right? Not all of them hurt, but the ones that hurt. That was the only gym shirt I had. I couldn't afford multiple gym uniforms. And so yeah, that was the only gym shirt I had. So I left class, and I just sat in the bathroom. I just sat in the bathroom until I knew class was over. I put my uniform back on. I put like some tissue and stuff on my back. And yeah, and I left. I just sat in the bathroom until class was over, and I waited, and then I just joined up with everybody on the way back to our regular class. But stuff like that happens often, right? That's one example of many, many examples like that in my life. Situations like that characterize my life, where I'm in these situations where like I can't even bear to be around people, to be a normal, social, functioning human being because of this disorder. I have no idea how many excuses I've come up with this. Oh, I cut myself shaving. That's my favorite one. Oh, I cut myself shaving. Yeah. Actually, that was the excuse that I used to start getting my mom to buy Band-Aids. I started shaving my armpits. This was way before this, but I started shaving my underarms and stuff. And every single time, I'd be like, oh, I nicked myself or whatever, and I would have her buy band-aids because I'm a kid with no job and no car, and I'm not walking to the store. The store wasn't close, and so even if I did walk to the store, with what money? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I had to lie, I had to swindle, just to keep my secret. Just to keep my secret, I had to lie. Now I'm in college. In my sophomore year of college, I came across this book, and I think it was called like The Hidden Plague. I think it was called The Hidden Plague. And basically, it defined it, right? It defined it as Hidradenitis Suppurativa. You don't know how liberating it was to hear a name, for it. I actually have something that someone can call. I have something. Like before, it was just like, you got it. I don't know what you got, but you got it. But now, to have a name, oh, it felt good. And the book also said that there's no cure. And in the book, she talked about using the paleo diet to heal it. I don't like saying cure because there is no cure. It's not like a virus or an infection. I can't just cure it. It won't just go away. It's just that my body doesn't function properly, essentially. But she was talking about how she used this paleo diet to fix this condition or whatever. And immediately, I still have the book too, but immediately after reading that, I was like, what is this bush? I was like, what, girl? So you I was like, this is a scam. No. What do you mean? I'm a college student. I'm a sophomore in college, right? Hundreds of miles away from home. I went to Tuskegee University, TU. And so I'm from Indianapolis originally. So I'm hundreds of miles away from home, a broke college kid, no car, no job, no nothing. And so I read this book, and she's talking about stop eating all of these foods and it'll cure your disease. Girl, what? I live off of ramen noodles and pizza rolls. No. What do you mean stop eating? No, that don't have nothing to do with it. Fast forward to the present. I have recently done more research and stuff about it, and it started. I heard this commercial on the radio that was no BS about HS, and it was just so like if you had a secret, like one of your toenails is crooked, and somebody's talking about your crooked toenail on the radio, like, what is your problem? Why are you doing that? So yeah, I was just flabbergasted. Anyway, in the last like year or two, I have a new doctor now, and I went to him, and I told him that I had hidradenitis suppurativa. No doctor ever officially diagnosed me with it. I had to do my own research and go to the doctor and tell the doctor what I had. But when I did, it was like, all is well. He was like, oh yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I don't know too much about it. And then he referred me to a dermatologist.
Come on, a rim shot, hey, diggy, diggy.